Hello, I'm Ishaan, and today I'm going to be interviewing the ambassador of Suriname, Mr. Arun Kumar Hardien. His main goal is to establish good diplomatic relations between the two nations and also to protect the welfare of the Suriname citizens. And it was a really great honor to be here. Now let's begin the interview. Hello everyone, I'm Ishaan, and today I'm here with Mr. Arun Kumar Hardien, the ambassador of Suriname. So today we're going to be beginning with a few questions. So can you share with me like your journey, what inspired to pursue a career in diplomacy, and like how did you reach this esteemed position?
Okay, first of all, welcome at the Suriname Embassy, Ishaan. When I reflect back as ambassador of the Republic of Suriname to India, I would like to share that first of all, I'm not a career diplomat.
Okay.
This is actually my first posting. Before taking this honored position as ambassador, I was the director at the cabinet of the president, responsible for political and policy affairs. When suddenly during one particular day, it was a Thursday, when I got a call of the president, just like that, are you in office? Yes, Excellency, come to my office. So I went to the president's office, and the president was sitting there with the foreign minister, and he just said to me, Arun, sit. You know I am busy with the appointment of ambassadors, and I'm stuck with India. For India, I have 7 candidates, but I want you to go. So my first response is, okay, but who will take over here at the cabinet? I mean, that was a very important area, policy and political affairs. And he said to me, don't worry about that, we'll take care of that. You just have to go to India as ambassador. You know the agenda of the government. You know what I want in the relationship with India. And I want you to do the very best you can to bring the two nations to each other. That was the starting point. How I shifted from public service to the diplomatic world. So of course I had to be transferred to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, did a crash course training over there in the basics of diplomacy. And in August 2022, I arrived with my family in India. So it has been now for 2 years. I must say, when I reflect, a remarkable journey, one that is filled with a lot of lessons, a lot of insights, a lot of knowledge, because there is so much going on in India. And you might find it strange, but the relationship between the Republic of Suriname and India are very close. To my quite surprise, when I go around and I introduce myself as the ambassador of Suriname, everybody, most of them, look at me and say, okay, but where is Suriname? Not many people have heard about Suriname, and that's very strange for me. And if people want to stay polite, they, in most of the cases, take a wild guess. Okay, you're on the African continent. Don't know why, but they're guessing for that your country is somewhere in the African continent, while we are in the South American continent. Suriname is a country in South America, and we share a 151-year relationship with India.
Wow.
And it is surprising for me, how do we don't know this part? 1/3 of Suriname's population is of Indian origin. Because when I introduce myself as ambassador of Suriname, they're confused, but you look like one of us. So where is Suriname? So I have to explain where Suriname is and how it is that we look full Indian. 1/3 of the population is Indian descendant. And it's mainly from Bihar and eastern Uttar Pradesh. And there is a particular reason for that. When slavery was abolished in Suriname in 1863, Suriname was a colony of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, as we also know it as Holland. So after abolishment of slavery, the Netherlands wanted to continue the plantation economy because there were a lot of profits made from the colonies. So the slaves were free, but they wanted to continue the business. So they started to look for replacement labor. After that, the period from 1863 to 1873 was called the transition period in our history. So replacement laborers were sought from Indonesia, were sought from China, and also from India. In India, the Dutch made a deal with the British. Since the majority of the plantations in Suriname were the sugarcane plantations, the best labor you could get then from Bihar and UP, which had the most experience in sugarcane. So not to lose time, people from Bihar and eastern UP were rounded up and as indentured laborers, not as free people. They were given a contract to sign, and there is where the name was brought like Girmitya. Girmit is then the contract, and as indentured labor, around roughly 44,000 Indians left India through the port of Calcutta to the unknown destination, which was called Suriname.
Okay.
Now, in order to convince people to make the voyage to an unknown country, which was back then Suriname, they were told that they were going to the land of Sri Ram.
Wow.
You could imagine poor people from Bihar and UP on the difficult circumstances looking for a new opportunity, a new chance to make a new livelihood for a better future. That if you tell them that over there is the land of Sri Ram, because if you look at our name, Suriname, twist it a little bit. If I want to convince you to go to Suriname, I will say that is the land of Sri Ram. Suriname, if you twist it a little bit, Suriname becomes Sri Ram. With that, many people were convinced that the new land was Sri Ram, and that's how they made the voyage. And the result is that 1/3 of our population is of Indian origin.
Okay.
So that is the short history of Suriname and its Indian origin and community. But adding to that part of history is the fact that in Suriname, even the Hindi language is well preserved. Every tradition, every culture, as our ancestors brought it from India, is almost authentically well preserved in the same way. A little bit influenced throughout the years, yes, but roughly for 95%, the same riti rivas as we know it, the same rituals for birth, wedding, death ceremonies, right? If birth, then you have the Mundan Sanskar. Just to say, for example, birth, wedding ceremonies in the Jora Jama, in the every ceremony that the Pandits will do is in according to our holy book, and even death ceremonies. Whenever somebody close relatives dies, you have to shave your hair. So I'm just giving you a couple of examples. In Suriname, festivals like Diwali and Holi are declared national holidays. For the Muslim community, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha are also declared national holidays. So every puja on the Hindu calendar, from Govardhan Puja to like coming Monday, Krishna Janmashtami, is celebrated in the same authentic way, just like in India. But for me as ambassador, it's remarkable to see that this part of Suriname is not known, that we have this strong connection with India, although it dates back 151 years. And that means there is enough homework for the Suriname Embassy in India to promote the Republic of Suriname and its community, its people in India. And when we celebrated on June 5th, 2023, last year, the 150 years of Indian arrival in Suriname, do you know that the Honorable President of India was our chief guest in Suriname? President Murmu, her first state visit after assuming office as president, was to Suriname to take part in this celebration. And that was a huge honor for Suriname to receive the President of India and to celebrate Indian Arrival Day over there in the small country in South America. And these are facts. There have been, in the bilateral relationship between Suriname and India, there have been very high level visits between our two countries. For example, we had the visit of the Speaker of Lok Sabha, Shri Om Birla, by the end of August 2022, visiting Suriname with a delegation. After that, in January 2023, President of Suriname, His Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santokhi, also Indian origin president, right? Chandrika Prasad Santokhi, visited India, particularly for the Parvasi Bharatiya Divas event in Indore with delegation. After that, we had Indian President visiting Suriname in June 2023. In December 2023, we had Suriname's Foreign Minister Albert Ramlin visiting India. And in February this year, 2024, we had the Speaker of Suriname Parliament with a delegation visiting Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha for an official visit. So you see, high-level visits do happen between our two countries. And going back just to visits of President Murmu, I said, was last year in Suriname. And before President Murmu, President Ramnath Kovind visited Suriname in 2019. So there has been some exposure to this part of the bilateral relationship, but it's known only in the upper part of government. Our responsibility is now to make Suriname known to the broader community here in India, so that there is more exchange, there is more travel between both countries, and that is one of the primary duties we have as an embassy representing Suriname in Delhi.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was wonderful to hear that India and Suriname have had a 151-year relationship with each other. And I also got to learn a lot of things about
Yeah, it's on the surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you know. But that's exactly what I encounter every day.
Okay.
Right? People still look at you, but this is confusing, really.
Yeah.
Right? But if you tell the story about Suriname, about its population, about the fact that Hindi, I can go on, but let's continue.
Okay.
Then I'll share the story.
Yeah. So my next question to you is, how would you describe the current state of diplomatic relations between Suriname and India, and how do you see these relations evolving in the future?
All right. The current status of our bilateral and also, as we call it, diplomatic relationship is very good.
Okay.
It's strong. It's solid, and we increase our efforts to bring both nations closer to each other. That was the reason why the president said to me in the cabinet, I want you to go to India because you know the agenda, you know what I want. That is what the president wants. To have not only in saying, but in real actions, tried your utmost best to bring both nations closer to each other. Otherwise, we as diplomats, we will have nice speeches and say that we want to strengthen and deepen the bilateral relationship, but it has to be transferred into actions. So it's strong. We are committed toward each other with emphasis on mutual benefit for both nations. How do we do that? The highest level of consultation that takes place between Suriname and India takes place by what we call a joint commission meeting between Suriname and India. It happens the meeting takes place every 2 years. So recently, the last meeting was held in December 2023 when Suriname's foreign minister visited India and held consultation with Minister of External Affairs, Minister Jaishankar. Right? During that meeting, anything in the area of cooperation between India and Suriname is being discussed on all levels in every area, from education to defense to foreign affairs to cooperation in agriculture. Anything that both countries find relevant to cooperate with each other is being discussed, and by the end we signed an agreement which we call agreed minutes between India and Suriname. So the next meeting, according to planning, will take place in 2025 in Paramaribo, which is the capital of Suriname. That is the highest technical level of consultation between the countries, as I said. In between, you have the regular meetings and visits of ministers and other high officials between both the two countries, and that happens regularly. We have the honor now that recently a new Indian ambassador has been appointed for Suriname. That is Mr. Subhas Gupta. And if everything goes according to plan, he will present his credentials by next week to President Santokhi, and then his official tenure will start. And before leaving India, we had a meeting in which we agreed that we will not only formally communicate with each other but also informally. Nowadays, everybody extensively uses the phone, the computer, but more easy communication happens by WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So we agree that anything that we want to do in promoting business and people-to-people contact between Suriname and India, we will immediately share it with each other. So after Ambassador Gupta will officially take office as ambassador, we will start with, first of all, the continuation of the ongoing projects and activities between our two countries, but anything new that could be added to improve and strengthen our relationship. So we are focused, we are fully committed. There are a lot of activities happening in India which Suriname can benefit from, which Suriname can learn from. I have every day so much activities to choose from, which to attend, which one not to attend. Whatever we see that is beneficial for Suriname, we attend and share the information with our headquarters and the government of Suriname, so that there is a active participation also from the center of government in any joint venture or any cooperation which we deem necessary for the development of both our countries.
So that's really nice to hear, and getting to know more about our diplomatic relations with each other. My next question is that what opportunities exist for collaboration in areas like trade, research, and higher education between institutions in Suriname and India?
So there are enough opportunities in the areas. Let's start with trade. That is nowadays almost the first thing that countries look for to cooperate with. Yesterday, I had a meeting with a high-level delegation of the PSG Chamber of Commerce in Delhi. Right, they have a new Director General, so he came to the Suriname Embassy to introduce the Chamber of Commerce. as one of the most important partners, focused on trade and industry in Delhi, but also announcing the plans of the chamber towards the Latin American region of which Suriname is part of. So a trade mission is planned for December this year towards that region, visit to a number of countries including Suriname. Why Suriname was added? Because there are a lot of possibilities to do business. But let me first of all share why we are focused on improving business interaction between India and Suriname. If you look at the role of the embassy, from my perspective, the traditional role of embassies have changed for a significant part. Before, embassies were mainly issuing visas and doing everything that had to do with travel of persons between the two countries. But nowadays, especially with the trend of technology, visa is being outsourced to other companies. So what do you do as an embassy? There is where you have to make a change and shift towards what we call business development center. You focus on promoting and encouraging business interactions between your country. And that's also a large part of what we try to do at the Suriname Embassy. In 2020, we made huge oil discoveries in the offshore area of Suriname. In the basin, the border area that is being shared with Guyana. And similar, Guyana made the oil discoveries also. So Suriname has an oil potential, but that was onshore. We have our own oil refinery. But discoveries in the offshore area were made for the first time in 2020. But you could imagine what the potential is for a country when discovering oil and gas. That sparks your economy. That creates a spin-off effect. And not only business, but countries are then interested to partner with you in order to, sign deals that would benefit both the countries.
Yeah.
So even India can benefit from the oil and gas potential, but also doing business in other areas. One of the products that is being exported from Suriname to India is timber. You should know that the Republic of Suriname is one of the carbon negative countries in the world. At this moment, there are only 3 carbon negative countries. Suriname is one of them. Together with Bhutan, Panama, Suriname is the 3rd carbon negative countries because the large part of Suriname is still covered with dense rainforest. More than 95% is still covered with rainforest. And we only have a very small population of around 600,000 people in an area, in a country that is around 163,000 square kilometers. So you could imagine that only the upper part of Suriname is being inhabited, with, of course, villages in the interior where the Maroon community is living. But more than 95% of the country is still pure and untouched, and offering potential in the area of business. The mineral sector, we have a gold sector that is potential to do business with, aluminium industry, agriculture, Suriname offers potential in the agriculture also, and in many other areas to do business. In the area of education, we only have one university in Suriname, but even that allows us to partner with Indian counterparts. India has so many universities. There is so much possibility here in India for capacity building, for joint venture, for cooperation in many, many areas. As an embassy, we are focused to bring the University of Suriname closer to Indian counterparts But then, of course, it's up to those institutions to sign the necessary documents, which we call Memorandum of Understanding, and to identify the best areas for cooperation and exchange knowledge and information. The embassy facilitates communication, facilitates interaction as much as possible, and we support wherever we can.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear again, and that what like the scope is in your country, it's a lot. My next question is that how do you see the cultural exchange between Suriname and India contributing to mutual understanding and friendship?
So the cultural exchange is something that has played a significant role in our relationship. Um, Let me go back a little bit to 1976 because Suriname independence was in 1975 when we became free from the Netherlands. In 1976, India was the first country to establish a diplomatic mission in Suriname. Suriname only established its embassy in the year 2000 in Delhi, but India was in 1976 already present in Suriname. And in the area of culture, the Swami Vivekanand Cultural Center in Suriname is the oldest Indian cultural center for the whole Latin American and the Caribbean region.
Wow.
So that's also something remarkable and something to be proud of, that the oldest Indian or even the first or the oldest Indian cultural center of India is in Suriname. And there have been enough cultural exchange between our two countries. As I said, the Hindi is well preserved in Suriname, but we also have a variant in the area of language which we call Suriname. And the Suriname language is a mix of Hindi, but those that are familiar with the Bhojpuri language in India will immediately from the Suriname language recognize the majority of that language, the Bhojpuri element, where some a little bit Awadhi and Maithili. I don't know if you know these languages, but they're found in Bihar, in the Bihar area. But Bhojpuri is the main element of the Suriname language. So that is well preserved. Songs, the cultural expression, for example, the Bharatnatyam dance.
Yeah.
We have a number of Bharatnatyam schools where from a young age, kids, especially girls, they learn the Bharatnatyam dance and all the other cultural expressions that have to do with it. Even my two daughters learned the Bharatnatyam for a couple of years,
Yeah.
but it's there. We have musical program exchange. Sometimes we have popular music groups from India going to Suriname, and we try our very best. That also cultural groups from Suriname visit India. We hope that in the coming period we will be able to invite so that we can show India that part of the preserved Indian tradition, the Indian culture in the area of music, dance and other expressions that originated from India, preserved in Suriname, and to present Suriname in India. Within that regard, we plan as Suriname Embassy in Delhi an exhibition later this year in Delhi. At this moment, experts from the National Archives of India will be traveling to Suriname in the first week of September to identify old pictures going back in history. As I said, 151 years ago, whatever is available, registers, pictures, anything that could be relevant for such an exhibition. Then Suriname archive counterparts will visit India by the end of September, beginning of October, to do the necessary preparation so that we can jointly organize an exhibition. It will start in Delhi, and we hope to do that around the 25th of November, which is our Independence Day, so that we can celebrate it with an exhibition showcasing that unique part of shared relationship between Suriname and India. But I also plan, if there is enough support, which I think will be, to have the same exhibition highlighting this bond between India and Suriname to Calcutta, where the voyage started. And if possible, also in Maharashtra, where we have an honorary consulate, so that there is more exposure to Suriname and that we know of what we call Chota Bharat in the Caribbean. That is how I promote Suriname now in Delhi. You should see Suriname as Little India in the Caribbean, because of its population, because of its language, because of its traditions, because of anything that you will recognize from India in Suriname. Even our signboard, the signboard of the embassy, is displayed in 3 languages. Of course, first of all, starting with Dutch. Dutch is the official language of Suriname, since we are or were a former colony of the Netherlands. Dutch is our official language, followed by English, and the third language on our embassy board is Hindi.
Oh, wow.
So, with that, we also want to promote the Hindi language and support that the fact that Hindi should be recognized as an international language.
That was really nice to hear. And the thing is, my birthday is on 23rd of November.
Okay,
And
that's
the independence is
2 days ahead of our Independence
so that's really good to hear.
Yes.
So, have you had the opportunity to explore Indian cuisine or sports? And are there any particular dishes or sports that you've enjoyed and have interest in?
In the area of Indian cuisine, yes, there are times now, being 2 years in India, that I crave for Indian cuisine, specifically. So, we have the roti also in Suriname. So, we know that, right? Roti with any vegetable is a common thing in Suriname. And we even eat with hand. Whoever prefers to eat with hand, eats by hand. Whoever prefers to use a spoon, use a spoon. So those are elements that we share. But I personally, as a master, I very much like the Indian cuisine. Especially pani puri, which is snack. I've made it a tradition now in India that every Friday, before I go to my home, when leaving the embassy, we go to the corner, and that is I do that with my driver. We enjoy a plate of pani puri, and then I go home. So Indian cuisine, I very much like it, but I should be honest and say, the more I go towards the south of India, the closer I get to my own cuisine in Suriname. You recognize, and also the taste is closer to Suriname cuisine. So I very much enjoy the Indian cuisine. In the area of sports, yes, not so long ago I was exposed to the cricket sport, which is the number 1 sport in India. I received an invitation to visit Mulanpur in Punjab and witness a cricket match. I think it was between the Punjabi Kings and the Mumbai Indians. Yes, that was the match in Mulanpur. So of course you see cricket on the television. Cricket is also in Suriname played. But I stayed far away for some reason. So this was my first time that I was in a cricket stadium. But it was a wonderful experience. That experience led to me as an ambassador approaching the Punjabi Cricket Association for any possibility to work closer also in the area of sports, with the result that a representative from the Punjabi Cricket Association traveled to Suriname by the end of May, last May, to discuss and to see what the possibilities are to strengthen cricket sport in Suriname. And here we are now that we are preparing cricket matches between Suriname and India. Not on the highest level.
Yeah.
No, it's just a formal exchange.
Okay.
The idea is that to invite Suriname, at least one Suriname team, to India, so that a sports exchange could take place,
Okay.
knowledge transfer, increase sport awareness, but also increase the sport itself. So that is planned, and we hope that very soon we will be able to execute this wonderful initiative. Nothing brings, as they say, nothing brings two countries or more closer to each other than sport. We recently saw the wonderful Olympic Games event in Paris, and I think sport is a wonderful mechanism to work closely with each other.
Okay. So I also love pani puris a lot, and it looks like today is Friday, so after work you'll go and have pani puris.
For today, I have to skip it because I have some other programs to attend to.
Okay. Yeah.
But next week, it will be back.
That's wonderful. So my last question is that what advice would you give to students or young professionals who aspire to follow similar path in diplomacy? And what skills and experiences are the most valuable in this field?
I think the lessons in the area of diplomacy, and my advice towards students, first of all, is keep on learning.
Okay.
Learning is an ongoing process. In fact, I have an event today which is all focused on mind shift and learning, especially focused on youth. And I'll attend that summit. Nowadays, you see that the current generation is not reading at all. Most time is spent on phones, not even computers anymore or tablets. It's on phones. And I even see the challenge in my own household. Whenever I say to my two daughters, do you know how it feels to take a newspaper and read it? And they just look at you, what are you talking about? When was the last time you looked for a good book and you read it? It's becoming a challenge. But to acquire knowledge is one thing that you should continue to pursue. For the young generation now, the world around us is continuously changing. And without proper information, you're nowhere. Best is that if you have the possibilities, because that's also a challenge, not everybody has the possibility or the equal possibility to enjoy proper education. But as much, I would like to encourage, especially the younger generation, to keep learning and to focus on skills development. And you can only do that if you are interested in what happens around you, in your own direct environment. And you should be interested also what happens in your country and beyond the borders of your country, because everything nowadays is connected with each other. There can be a war now in the Middle East, but it has impact on India. It has impact on your household. To that micro level, a change of government in, let's for example say after the elections in the United States, a possible change in government in the United States will also impact you. So you have to be aware what happens around you, and you can only know that if you acquire knowledge. Best is to keep on learning and to share experiences and do your best now and to be proud for what you do and make your parents proud. That's my short message which I want to share.
Okay. Thank you so much. That
Thank
was
you.
inspiring to me, and I will make sure that I also don't read books, but now since you gave me that much knowledge about it, I will start reading them.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank
I
you.
had a great
Thank you.
time.